So a very, very warm welcome to this rather unrehearsed and impromptu conversation. We like doing those, don't we? We really, really enjoy just kind of going live and seeing what happens. But for anybody who's watching this, the object of the exercise here is that how long ago did the two of you start working together? Just before we do all the intros and everything.
Just post-lockdown? I can't remember.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain it was.
Right, so in case you're watching this and wondering what the hell's going on, just a couple of quick intros, 60 seconds each. Lisa, ladies first. Who are you and what are you doing?
So my name is Lisa Catto. I'm a London-based automation agency, and our business is focused around creating amazing customer journeys, designing and implementing and configuring them so that customers and patients alike have an amazing experience and want to come back for more, because it's a lovely, smooth, friction-free journey for both the practice and for the patients.
That's enigmatic as ever. And OP, introduce yourself, please.
Sodeinde. I run London Dental Specialists in Primrose Hill in London, and have been working with Lisa for about 18 months now.
Yep. So just to set the context here, when Opie and I first met each other, and in fact when he first worked with Lisa, basically Opie, you were kind of a one-man band, one chair in the West End of London. But in the time that you've been working with Lisa, I am delighted to say that after many trials and tribulations, you've now relocated to Primrose Hill to a brand new set of premises. And in fact, how many chairs in the premises at the moment and potentially?
At the moment, 2, potentially 5 and a lab.
There we go. So what we've got here is a dentist who basically at the start of the story that we're going to tell you was the ultimate one-man band, but is now in a situation where the business can actually start to scale. And the reason that the business can start to scale because they've actually got the room to do it. So all we need now is some clinicians and some patients, and Bob's your uncle. If we wind the clock down 18 months to the beginning of this relationship, and in fact when the introduction first took place between Opie and Lisa, and I think, Lisa, that happened because you came along as a guest speaker at one of my sessions a long time ago, what it seems like a long time ago now, and Lisa gave us an absolutely super presentation about the work that she does, and Opie was one of the people that said, well, I'm going to have a go at that. Now, Lisa, in your introduction, you sounded like the kind of thing that you read on the back of a cornflake packet where they say, that wheat is good for you and it's full of vitamins and proteins and all the rest of it. But it actually doesn't really describe what it's like having a bowl of cornflakes and milk first thing in the morning. And I want to get past the overall view of what it is that you do. And I just want to get back down to some brass tacks, if I may. So can we just start unraveling this and just start looking at the brass tacks? But actually, I'm interested also not just in hearing the machinery of what it is that you do, but I'm also interested in hearing the journey that you and Opie have been on together, because it's been a very innovative journey in terms of the application of your knowledge set into the world of the delivery of high-value private dentistry, particularly in London, but in any other postcode as well. So do you want to start unpacking all this for me, and perhaps between the two of you, tell me the story of what actually went on?
Okay. So OP joined us whilst at the beginning of our journey of developing what we call the ideal patient's journey. So what does that mean? Well, what we found from working with other orthodontic and private dental practices is there's a lot of lost opportunity. You've got patients falling through the cracks, they're not being communicated with, leads are not being followed up on, and the dentists and the principals and the practice owners, they're all very busy with other stuff and don't really have what they need at their fingertips to be able to ensure that the patients are being served and that the money they're spending on their marketing and their wages is really getting the maximum ROI. So what we've done is we've built a system that makes sure that if we go back to the beginning of the journey, of the first touch point, from whether it's on a Facebook Messenger, an Instagram Messenger, or a Facebook ad, AdWords, web form, whatever it might be, is that we're making sure that we're capturing the details of every single person that comes into contact with the practice, and that the practice knows who to follow up with, what to follow up with them about, and when to follow up with them, because it might be you left a voicemail. It might be that they've said, oh, we're on holiday, call back in 2 weeks time. So we've got a very robust, what we call lead management system, follow up inquiries. That means nothing can slip through the cracks, with all the reporting, so that you know how much you've spent on each campaign, in each lead, and where they're currently sitting and potentially stuck in your sales process. So is it that you've left a voicemail and haven't got around to following up with them? All of this literally at your fingertips and really visible, so that Opie's not having to sit there until 7 o'clock at night after he's done his treatment plans to go, well, what's going on with my marketing? What decisions am I making in the next 30 days? So giving visibility of data so that you can get out of the practice sooner, have the accountability in place. Plus, as part of that, we join it all up. So whether it's medical history forms, making sure that before somebody comes into the practice, their medical history form is complete, knowing whether it's on a 6-month or a 12-month cycle, if that needs to be recompleted because it's expired and they're still in treatment. We also plug into some patient management softwares like Dentally and SFB and others, to make sure that any patient that is in, and Pearl in OP's case, to make sure that any patient that's in treatment has a live appointment, or if they're recurring patients for hygiene or other treatments, that they always have a live appointment. And if not, you know who they are. So not only can you reach out to them, but we also have automated SMS, text messages, and emails, so that all of that's happening in the background. No one actually has to remember to do anything. We had another practice who has basically managed to eliminate a member of staff because all of these reminders are all happening automatically, and they've done a whole annual revenue in 1 quarter as a result of not allowing these opportunities to fall through the cracks.
Right. So, now, I've got a question for Opie, and Lisa, thank you. What I'm now understanding that what you're talking to me about here is what would generically be called a CRM, a customer relationship management system. And I've got some questions about that, Lisa, which I want to come back to you on. But I'm going to go to Opie now and say that I've seen CRM systems, not just in dentistry, but in industry for decades. And one thing's absolutely for sure, which is that a CRM system is only going to be as effective as the people who are driving it in the team. And if you've got team members who either cannot or will not effectively drive the CRM system at their end, then the whole bloody thing just falls down, pack of cards collapses. So what's gone on inside London Dental Specialists to make sure that the engagement at your end has been appropriate?
Ultimately, we've tried, well, Lisa really has designed a system where the need for human input is severely restricted to the bits that really need human input. So Lisa, I will start with in new inquiries into the practice, patient fills in the web form, or so. Yeah, let's start with the patient fills in the web form. We can set up systems where we have set up systems where automatically, because of the way my website is designed, they begin to get information about their inquiries, and at the same time, a task is generated for an appropriate member of staff. If that appropriate member of staff does not then go in and manage said task, it would then be glaringly obvious to me that they are not doing as they're told. And we haven't done this yet, but I'm sure I could ask Lisa to set up an automated an email to be automatically sent to me for every single task that has been missed. So if I have a KPI of saying that all phone calls, all new inquiries must be called within, I don't know, 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. It could be whatever it is, whatever KPI you want to be set at. And I could be alerted if that's not happening. And if it's happening, then I'm not alert. And the beauty, in my view, of automation and Lisa's services in particular, is that I don't have to worry about those menial tasks, repetitive tasks that are just supremely boring, but actually need to be done.
Yeah.
And you, Chris, spend a lot of time talking to all of us in the Extreme Business Group about delegating, automating, and eliminating. And in fact, every single week, we're constantly thinking about various things that we could automate. And Lisa, we're probably going to have revamp a load of things that we've been discussing over the last 2 days. But I'll talk to you about that some other time.
Yeah, but the interesting point that you're making there, OP, is that actually that you can change the system in real time, and if as a result of direct feedback or direct experience, you suddenly realize, well, there's something that's working or there's something that isn't working, you can immediately go in and change, because you're not using a kind of what the Americans would call a cookie cutter system.
No.
But it's interesting you say that, actually, Chris, because we've got another practice we work with that has they have multiple practices, but they have, like, the treatment coordinators want to follow up on the treatments, whereas they want front of house to follow up on the general dentistry. So that was an evolution we made for them. So rather than the task going to front of house, it's like, well, if it's for teeth whitening, send it to this person. If it's for implants, send it to this person. So once we put in the basic framework, and as OP said, for each treatment, we're also able to send out specific treatment nurtures and indoctrinations, and we're able to customize those based on, is it a new patient, is it an existing patient, do they have a medical history that's live? So the communication is completely customized based on the person that's coming in, which gives a great experience. And then these treatment coordinators are, can you send me an SMS when I get a lead, please, so that they're not having to watch their computer screens, so that we absolutely evolve it once we've got the framework in for this specific practice needs. And is in OP's case, who is the most brilliant innovator in his business, all the evolutions as the business and the practice is growing, it's like, well, now we've got this and now we want to do it that way. And we're able to customize the automations based on this very solid foundation to his specific needs.
So there's a big message that I'm taking away from this, and OP has referenced it's actually Michael Hyatt who first came up with the terminology of delegate, automate, eliminate. And that was moving on from Dan Sullivan's unique ability concept at Strategic Coach. Michael Hyatt, who's a client of Dan Sullivan, said, well, Sullivan had said, focus on your unique ability and delegate everything else. That's Dan Sullivan's unique ability. So OP says, I want to focus on my unique ability, which is doing the dentistry, high value, highly complex dentistry. Everything else is everything else. Michael Hyatt then came along and said, well, actually, we need to subdivide everything else into these three categories, which are delegate, automate, eliminate. Delegate is difficult when you've got team members who don't exist because you can't recruit anyone.
Yeah.
Delegate is difficult when you've got team members who either don't want to do it or can't do it. Delegate is also difficult because delegate requires follow-up. You need to hold people accountable, and so you're now in a kind of a vicious spiral, which is that even though you've delegated, you've got to make sure the darn thing got done as well. So what you've done, the message I'm taking away, is that we can't eliminate marketing. unfortunately. So we've got that place in the middle. How far can we automate? So Lisa, what you're doing is that you're saying, how many of these transactions can we automate in order to either eliminate the need for people, or in order to make the job so easy that the people that you've got aren't getting bogged down in it?
Was to release them up to be able to build the client relationships better. So all of those functional tasks, which can be really time consuming, it's like, if we can save 5 minutes 20 times a day, that mounts up incredibly over a week to release team members up to get on with the interfacing with the patients that is so important, and giving the principals and the practice owners and the practice managers the dashboard so they can see how many leads came in, how many have not been followed up with. We have what we call a dashboard 0, so that the practice owners and managers can see at a glance how many have not been followed up with. And then that can be lead on to, like, well, what's the problem? Is it a training issue? Is it that they're bogged down with something else? Is it that they're just not, they've gone outside to have lunch and haven't come back in time, whatever it might be. But you can they start to spot issues in the business, because we're all about business growth. It's the whole point about automation, is alleviating principal people in the business from the day-to-day tasks in order that they're at the functionality, they can concentrate more on what they're good at and the strategic moving forward of the business.
Got it. OP, there's an investment there's a financial investment involved in this, as well as a time investment. And of course, one of the most common pieces of feedback that I get from clients in any conversation about marketing is, how the hell do we measure our return on investment? 2 questions for you, OP, which is, number one, how do you measure your return on investment from the systems that Lisa is building here? And my second ancillary question is, how long did it take before you felt as if you were getting a positive return on investment? So question number one, how do you measure ROI?
I haven't measured ROI. Actually, no. I haven't measured ROI specifically. But what I can certainly say to you is, I can say 2 things to you. Number one, a nurse who used to work with us full time, then went on to do A-levels and has just finished her hygiene degree. She's now a qualified hygienist. So she was away for 3.5 years. So she saw the paper-based system we had before, and has seen the new system. I haven't told you this, Lisa. Has seen the new, because she only came back this week, and has now seen the new automation systems that we have. And when her head finally got her head around the new systems, her jaw dropped, because she said, I can now see why you've been banging on about this for the last few years, because every single thing, all the tasks that used to take us an hour, right, now take 10 minutes. And that for me, just looking at it from a staff morale perspective, I think it is worth that investment. We used to have, because of the paper-based systems, we used to have more administrative staff than we do now. We only really have one practice manager, whereas we had a practice manager, a senior nurse, and essentially somebody else who was doing some extra administrative responsibilities. And right now it's just one. My bottom line is, I've said to Lisa that if we're still working together, I've said to Lisa that I fully anticipate that we will still be working together in 10 years' time, because I see my practice growing in various different directions. And automation is the key to be able to allow that growth happen consistently. I think perhaps one day I will actually quantify in reality how much it has saved, or how much it saved us, and how much it has allowed my business grow. But I have literally no doubt whatsoever that whether it's a new squat or an established 10 surgeon practice, both types of practices need automation. And I would argue that the new squat needs automation more.
Right, now, thank you, Opie. Now, Lisa, I'm going to come to you with the same question, which is that which is ROI. It's around ROI. I'm not going to go, how much does it cost and what do I get? But you know as well as I do that everybody who's watching this or listening to this is going to be inside. They're going to be asking the same question, which is, how much has Opie paid for this and what has he got? Now, we're not going to talk about Opie's personal circumstances online, but generally speaking, everybody you talk to must come up with a version of that question. I appreciate that you are providing a very bespoke service. This is tailor-made, but what's your answer?
My answer is this: are the ROIs on time and money. So how much time are you saving that you're able to put towards either other tasks, put your staff towards other tasks and client-facing or patient-facing activities, and have time for yourself, as well as increasing the ROI, having your finger on the pulse of that data and knowing which patients to speak to, follow up with, making sure that all the money that you're spending on your marketing leads is having the best opportunity of conversion into a paying patient. And it's not just about the lead management. What we do with the ongoing newsletters that we're communicating with people with, requesting reviews post-treatment, asking people to refer their friends and family. And this is the whole patient journey. We've only really touched on the lead management and the onboarding into the system, the passing of the data from the lead into the CRM and then onto the accounts software. So whenever OP generates an invoice, for example, out of his patient management software, that is automatically pushing that invoice over to his Xero accounting software, saving time, keeping his numbers up to date. So this is the entire patient journey. We include all of the tech stack in that. So there's no hidden costs. All of the SMS, the emails, the CRM, the reporting module, all of that is included in what we do, as is the training. So we do one-to-one training with the staff. You asked earlier about adoption of the system, which can always be tricky, especially if you're moving from a different system, let alone onboarding those where they're not trained necessarily in lead follow-up. So you need to make it as easy as possible. So we do one-to-one training. We provide a training portal with the videos in there of training so that they're not reliant on us if they're taking on new staff or they want a refresher, but we're there, and we're there for evolution. So if they're doing an Invisalign open day, or we've just done for one of our clients their 50th birthday, we're there to support them in making sure their message is getting out to their database in the best possible way and syncing everything up. So the ROI is in the staff happiness, the amount of time that is being saved, and the amount of revenue that you're now no longer losing as a result of harnessing a sophisticated business system. And it's sophisticated but simple to use. I don't think that any of OP's staff have had any, including OP, have had any challenges in using the app. We build it in such a way that when we're working with a sales team, we show them how to use it in perspective of a sales team's perspective. If we're working with front of house staff, this is what front of house need to know. They don't need to know how to process a payment if that's not going to be part of their role. So we're very careful not to overload people with too much information that's going to make them switch off and tune out.
OP, bottom line, what difference has this made for you?
Where do it's a massive difference in that, and I don't even feel like we've scratched the surface, Lisa, not fully. We've done a hell of a lot, but I keep finding new things to do. But the prospect of being able, okay, let me give you a classic example that happened to us recently, where and this is something we haven't set up yet, Lisa. We need to do this. But a patient came in and despite the fact that I had told her about the need for multiple hygienist visits, and the hygienist had also mentioned it, she got to reception and seemed a bit surprised by the fact that she needed multiple hygienist visits. And then it suddenly occurred to me that one example of, I don't know where this comes from, but us human beings need, whether it's 5 or 7 touch points for something to actually really sink in. We all know that patients find it really difficult to take on board the information that we're given. So wouldn't it be amazing, just as something as simple as explaining the importance of prevention in dental practice, wouldn't it be amazing to be able to, patient comes in, however they come into your system, and you start automatically, because of the emails and the videos you made, sending them the information that conveys the fact that you're a practice that sees prevention as being better than cure. And then they come in and OP is saying the same thing. And then they leave and then they get more post-appointment automated emailed videos with an OP or the practice owner saying the same thing. Then they come and see the hygienist and the hygienist saying the same thing. There is no way that kind of problem that I know happens across the board would at least be reduced significantly.
Yeah.
Fixed completely.
It's such an interesting point because at the very time that we're recording this, which is the back end of September, I've suddenly, literally in the last week, had a flurry of communication from the client base saying the hygiene book is gappy, the hygiene book is gappy, the hygiene book is gappy. And of course, the reason for that is because hygiene is the first casualty of a recession. Mm. It's seen as a non-essential treatment. People cancel appointments. And I've been back to a number of clients in the last few days saying, we've really got to go up a gear now in terms of your reminder system, in terms of reminding people of the benefits of attendance for that hygiene appointment, reminding people of the risks of non-attendance for that hygiene appointment, and also trying to add value to the visit itself by either doing or giving extra things in the appointment as well. And what you've just described, OP, is actually, well, let's take all of that, let's automate it so that we don't think about it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Set it and forget it.
Sorry?
Set it and forget it.
Precisely.
Well. Okay, I get that, and so I understand that you know, my question was what difference is this making? And as apart from saying massive, what you're saying is that we see an issue like that. Gappy hygiene book has suddenly manifested itself out of thin air for the first time since probably 2008, 2010, the banking collapse. And what you're doing is you're saying, I'm going to quote Dan Sullivan here, you're actually saying, rather than trying to figure out who's going to fix this, we're asking the question, how can we fix this by using an automated process? Rather than who's going to fix this, we're going to get Marion on reception to ring 500 patients and remind them that they've got a hygiene appointment and she hasn't got the time and she's got COVID.
And it's soul destroying.
And Marion wants to throw herself off a bridge.
we do a lot of those throttle campaigns where you might have a list of 5,000. You go, well, I don't want 5,000 inquiries at once. People are going to have a heart attack on the front desk trying to book that in. So we throttle them. We go, well, what can you handle? We send out 100 and 50% reply, you know, and we throttle out the messages, guiding people so that it's more inbound and the front of house staff don't get overwhelmed, but meanwhile the books get filled.
So here's a one-liner: automate every aspect of your patient journey so that you can set it and forget it. Love that. Okay. We're probably getting to the end of our audience's attention span. So Lisa, I've got two questions for you. Question number one, if somebody wants to find out more about this, where do they go? And question number two, if somebody wants to take some action about this, what do they do? Where do they go? What do they do?
If you go to the idealpatientjourney.com, you will see there is a button that goes book in for a demo, which will give you an automated access to my diary where we can then have a conversation and I can walk someone through exactly what's involved and how we get them going.
Succinct. Opie, any final thought from you before we close?
I have heard I've heard colleagues suggest that an automation system is an indulgence, and I'm sorry, I genuinely beg to differ. It is a crucial, absolutely crucial part of my practice. If marketing is literally everything that you do during the patient journey, then our ability to communicate effectively without having to rely on a human being remembering to send out those communications is crucial. I can't see any other way of doing it apart from automating it.
Thank you very much indeed. Opie, I really appreciate the fact that we're recording this during what would potentially be billable time, so I am hugely appreciative of your time.
No, my pleasure.
Now, Lisa, thank you for sharing your wisdom and intelligence and experience with us. I've seen Opie's business grow. I know that Lisa has had an integral part in that growth. I'm very excited about them together. And I really hope if you've watched this interview that you're motivated to find out more. Go and take a look at that website, have a look around, and also press that button and see if you can benefit from a conversation with Lisa. Lisa, final comments, anything?
Yeah, I mean, if it's an indulgence, then think about how you could spend more time indulging yourself with your family, playing golf, having holidays, or actually not having to work on the weekends as you reap the benefits of automation. So if you consider automation an indulgence, then switch that around and indulge yourself in your life and, have a good balance and harmony to it. I have, I've scaled my business off the back of automation magnificently, and I invite you to do the same.
Lovely. Yeah, Opie, thank you. Lisa, thank you. To our audience, thank you for spending some time with us. We hope we've made a difference, and we'll look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye for now.
Bye.